So Miss Netta said, Miss Netta said she know that she was mentioned on the Housewives this week, and she said she was gonna join the Housewives. She was gonna come on down and grace our screens. But what happened was they ain't had a coin at Bravo. No, she ain't say that. Would y'all be here for Miss Netta and her pimple juice popping all over y'all screens? Oh my God. I don't know, y'all. I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, welcome back, friends. Exactly. Happy Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday. Exactly. I might make some oxtail tacos. I'm lying. I'm back on my fish and clam chowder chow. As a matter of fact, I'm going to the gym. Anyway, so girl, Cynthia did a sit down with Carlos King. I didn't watch the whole interview, but I did watch a few clips. And she said at the end of the day, she's not going to quit her job. Like, I know one of the teammates, she called Kenya the MVP. You got fired, but we still need our jobs. Exactly. And she said that they ain't talked for 2 years. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Ralph ass, child, because pathetic Pittman, Ralph ugly ass was down here on YouTube, child, talking about Drew and their relationship and stuff. And telling men to go get a vasectomy so these Delilahs won't be out here trying to trap high-value men like him for millions. Bitch, you live in a basement. You can't even afford a studio apartment. You living in your own basement because you paying the bills. Girl, it's giving this what him and Martell talk about together. That's why they Bunchy Cat brothers. Allegedly. I'm going to tell y'all what Ralph had to say, and then we're going to talk about all of the stuff that happened on Real Housewives. I know I didn't do a full breakdown of the episode, but the episode wasn't that good to me. I'm sorry. They also just gave us a clip of Brit. It was Brit and Kelly. They seen Angela at Neiman Marcus or whatever. And we're going to talk about that because the fans are dragging Brit. We're going to talk about it, friend. And we're going to talk about Claudia because she drugged the dog shit out of Brit and said that Brit was bringing ghetto shit to the show. Does Brit give ghetto energy? Is she bringing ghetto shit to Real Housewives of Atlanta? Exactly. Anyway, friends, so make sure you subscribe, get you a little drink, whatever you doing in the middle of the day. Let's talk some shit real quick. Exactly. First off, Destiny. Let's talk about Destiny real quick. So, Destiny's still doing her Mental Monday podcast, unfortunately. So, I clicked on the episode, and I was going to watch it. It was like 3 dating errors or something like that. That's what it was about. I guess she didn't ran out of topics because she can't, leech off a male anymore. You know what I'm saying? So, the moral of the story, she ain't got shit to talk about. When I tell you I looked on it and it was like 250 views and 0 comments. I'm sorry. Love and Marriage Huntsville is dry as the Sahara Desert. No offense, but I low-key kind of wish the show would go down the drain just to prove the point that y'all needed male for a storyline and all that hating gonna catch up. Because now look at your podcast. Ain't nobody tuning in, po baby. They don't give a damn about what you talking about. Sunny, not your storyline no more. I have 0 idea what her storyline is going to be if she come back. Unless she go for Miss Nell. And I told you, Miss Nell's daughter and Kiki, they not finna let y'all. I don't know if Tisha and Destiny think they finna go at Miss Nell. But first of all, Miss Nell will get a few drinks in her and read the dog shit out of you. Lexi already told us Miss Nell know how to fight. And I hope they don't think that Miss Nell's daughter and her niece Kiki ain't gonna stand 10 toes down behind Miss Nell. So I don't know. Destiny, you might get your wig snatched off. Tisha, I don't think Tisha gonna stand 10 toes down. I don't know. Teabaggers, get in the comments. Do y'all think that Tisha will stand 10 toes down against Miss Nell? Especially when her daughter chime in and her niece chime in. I don't think Tisha and Destiny like that. Unless they get some help from Kimmy. But speaking of Kimmy, so Tisha and Marceau sponsored this Southern Cup this weekend, right? And it's supposed to be like a Kentucky Derby of Huntsville. Mind you, Marceau and Tisha looked cute. Marceau and Tisha looked really, really cute. I ain't gonna hate. But I noticed that Maurice and Kenny wasn't there. That was odd to me. Like, ain't y'all buddy? They go on trips together. They always together. So now that they're having this big event in Huntsville with these, prominent couples and stuff, and Marceau and Tisha were a big sponsor of the event, why wouldn't Kimmy and Maurice be there to support? I thought that was kind of odd. Anyway, nevertheless, let's talk about Cynthia real quick, and then we're going to talk about Ralph Dusty ass. So Cynthia, in these few clips, I'm going to go back and watch the full interview, and then I give y'all the additional tea. I just saw the clips online, and she was back. Carlos asked her about, hey, what did you think about the whole Kenya stuff and all of the backlash? Because you've been trending. People been saying that Cynthia is not a good friend. And Cynthia basically was like, well, you can't win for losing, because if I wouldn't have said nothing to Kenya, then y'all would have been talking shit, talking about how I don't call her out and shit. And she right. If she wouldn't have said nothing, y'all would have called her Kenya's lapdog, and she, can't call her friend out. And then when she called her friend out, now y'all clowning her. She also said that people were bringing up the girls' trip. And she said, yeah, we did get into it at the girls' trip, and we didn't talk for 2 years after the girls' trip. I said, damn. She said that her and Kenya didn't talk for 2 years after the girls' trip. Now, I don't think Cynthia is a bad friend. I think Cynthia is a bad friend for coming down to the internet telling us about the tea. But Cynthia is a Pisces. Pisces, don't come for me in these comments. I had one female Pisces friend, but my ex-husband is a Pisces, my first love is a Pisces, and my ex-boyfriend in Miami is a Pisces. One thing I do know about Pisces can be very flaky when it comes to strong relationships. Sometimes they would rather just let the relationship just float and linger instead of like really trying to address it and tackle it or whatever. So I feel like I could see Cynthia getting mad, or they getting into it and then just letting it linger on for 2 years, and then they come back together. Just like this. Do y'all think this is the final fallout for Kenya and Cynthia? I don't know. But the fact that they didn't even really get into it that bad on girls' trip, like nobody slept with nobody, man. Nobody stole nobody's food stamp card. Nothing happened really serious for y'all not to talk for 2 years. Maybe y'all really not real friends. And maybe, and these for my OG housewife watchers, maybe Kenya just aligned herself with Cynthia to spite Nene and to have her a little supporting cast on the show. And now that y'all don't really need each other like that, maybe the friendship, because the friendship was built on a house of sticks and not bricks, then that's why y'all friendship keep failing. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, they also talked about Kenya basically reposting that snippet of Nene talking about how friends will go and align themselves with the enemy. Cynthia didn't really address that. She just said, well, she didn't say nothing to the other girls because all of them left. At least I stayed. Yeah, you stayed and then fronted me out on camera, or called me out on camera, which she should have. But she didn't really say nothing. And like I said, she did say, it's just like playing on a football team when the you go to the Super Bowl and the MVP gets fired. You still got to go work. You still got to go play the game. In so many words, Kenya ain't bigger than the program. That bitch got fired, and I'm finna still be on the show. I'm finna still get my coin, and I'ma still associate with all of the girls, including Brit, Eady. But I don't know. Did y'all see that Cynthia was underneath the comments? Cynthia was hardened. I seen it myself when I went to Brit Eady page. Cynthia be under the comments with heart emojis and all of that other stuff. Do she feel like, okay, Kenya, since you want to have an attitude and shade me, now I'm going to be friends with the enemy? That's exactly what Nene said. Exactly. I'm sorry, y'all. Tell me, is Cynthia a fake friend? I don't know. I'm going to watch the full interview and then I'll come back and tell y'all what I think about that. But Cynthia basically was like, that bitch ain't bigger than the program. I'm still finna come and get my coin. I'm still finna come and do these interviews. Carlos was actually interviewing her because she has a podcast with the girlie from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So I think it's going to be good. I'm going to watch it, okay? Moving on, let's talk about Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph. Ralph, it's great. This Tony the Tiger looking motherfucker, baby. I don't even know how Drew dealt with him for all of these years. He is so misogynistic, it's like pouring out of his pores. The fact that this man started off with an analogy talking about when you end relationships, you should end it like you end in a job. You don't go back and trash your job or whatever. So basically saying that you should end the relationship and not trash your partner. That was what he started with, and then continued to trash his partner. Nigga, didn't you just tell us that you shouldn't do this? Anyway, he continued on. He talked about how when he met Drew or whatever, she was in LA doing her, acting music thing. He's from Jersey. They ended up moving to Chicago when they had their kids and stuff. He talks about the different expectations in relationships and how men, they always set these expectations for themselves where they may have to like pay the rent, pay all of the bills and stuff. And even when they mad, even when things go awry, they still have to pay those bills and they still have to fulfill those expectations that they set. Then he started to say, hey, well, it's unfair because women can set expectations. And he said, kind of like Drew when we first started. When we first, got together, she said, oh, she'll sex me down every night. She gonna put it on me sometimes where I don't even want it. He was like, but because of marriage and kids, unfortunately, she can't fulfill those expectations. But I still have to fulfill mine. Man, the logic, the logic behind that is insane. Give me just a second, y'all. Why is Teams trying to ruin my life? Anyway, child, back to Ralph punk ass. So, yeah. So then he goes on to say that with expectations should come with appreciation. So basically saying, since I pay the rent and shit, you need to be appreciating me. And Drew basically stopped appreciating the things that he did because it wasn't enough. It sounds like, and a lot of men have this issue, you want appreciation for the things that you're supposed to do. Does your landlord send you a thank you letter every time you pay your rent? No, they don't. So your wife shouldn't either because you're supposed to be taking care of this family. I'm sure this is the family that you wanted. I'm sure this is the family, these are the kids that you wanted. Do you expect your kids to give you a thank you card? No, but I understand having appreciation, but in that same tone, do you appreciate her for taking care of those kids every day? Do you appreciate her for cooking and cleaning and supporting you? Did you appreciate her for taking you back and loving you in spite of your many indiscretions, talking to her crazy like that, going to Tampa for 2 weeks? I think men have a conflated view of like, not men, I'm sorry. I think some men, the Ralph type of men, the toxic masculinity type of men, they have a conflated view of what is considered a good man, or it was giving the impression like, hey, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm paying these bills and stuff. You need to be appreciating me. I'm fulfilling my expectations. What about the expectation of loyalty? What about the expectation of respect and honesty and all of those things? And it's crazy because I think that's why they call women so emotional, because men tend to have some men tend to have like a functional view of relationships. Like, hey, I'm fulfilling my duties. I'm fulfilling my function. You know what I'm saying? So that's enough. No, baby, outside of that, she don't have to appreciate you just for doing that, because you only fulfilling 50% of the... You're only fulfilling 50% of what you signed up for. You doing the financial stuff, but where's the emotional and the companionship and the being faithful? That's just like a woman. And I asked a boy this. Have y'all ever seen those posts that say, if I'm paying all the bills, I ain't being faithful? It's a post that say, if I'm paying all the bills, I ain't being faithful. Okay, well, if you don't want to be no man, then just say that. If you don't want to be a full man, then just say that, and I go find one. That's just like a woman telling you, "I cook and clean, but I'm not. I ain't. You know, I ain't giving you no coochie every day." I understand if a man was like, "Well, then I don't want that." Why can't you cook, clean, and put down the uchi wally wally on me? Exactly. No, it's crazy how people come into relationships and expect to be half-assed, and you got to accept the half-assed. Like, I'm either going to do one or the other. I'm either going to pay the bills or I'm going to be faithful. No, you're supposed to pay the bills and be faithful. That's what this is. Even women, I ain't gonna be cooking and cleaning and having sex all the time. Well, oh, I'm sorry, Laziana. It's plenty of women out there who will cook and clean and go ahead and bust it down one time for you. Exactly. I'm not doing Pilates for nothing. Anyway, so then Ralph goes on, child, to talk about how high value men need to get a vasectomy. He was like, all of y'all young dudes and even some of y'all old dudes. He said, I'm going to tell you exactly what he said. He said, them Delilahs are coming to kill you and destroy you. If you want, they'll talk you out of wearing protection. If she trying to jump on top of you, trapping men. You can tell that Martell and Ralph are friends. Because the delusion in his mind to think that these Delilahs are really out here trying to trap these men and gotta push them down and jump on top of you and, oh, I'm trying to get you to not wear protection. I'm sorry. In my experience, and it's just in my personal experience, most of the men that I've dealt with are the ones who try to initiate sex without protection. It came to a point when I was in my 20s, I used to have to keep my own condoms. And I kept a box of condoms because you always trying to get some without one. I ain't got one. Uno momento, por favor. Uno momento, papi. I got a whole box right here. Exactly. So the fact that he was trying to skew the narrative like, oh, these women trying to bounce up on you. And first of all, let's be clear. Most of the times it's the men that are trying to initiate or rush sex when when y'all have any type of relationship. I'm saying most of the times, not all of the times. It is some sex kittens out there. It's some Jocelyn Hernandez's out there. You know what I'm saying? Who will go ahead and take a man down. But the notion that these women out here, like, come on now. Even with the Aisha girl, little baby mama who married the basketball player who said he didn't want the baby and stuff. And the Drea was a big one with these cougars. I've been telling y'all, it's not like these grown women are, let me go get this little boy and I'm finna sex him down to get pregnant. No, these young boys be on your tip, on your zone, these little young men are aggressive, child. They aggressive. I like older women. Okay, well, do you suck toes? That's neither here nor there. No, but seriously, I think even when like cougars date younger men, I firmly believe these young men be approaching these older ladies. It's not like they out there trying to grab the cub up out of the bear cave or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not Goldilocks and the Three Bears. But I do believe it's some older women who see the dollar signs and they trap the boys for child support. But he's like, protect yourself from your millions. Don't let these girls get your millions. And I'm like, are the millions here with us? Ralph, are the millions here in your basement? Because that's where you at. You down there with the sewage drain pipes. Nah, the basement look nice, but let's be clear. You talking to a group of men that ain't got no damn money. Ain't none of y'all got no money. Most of the high value men that I meet ain't got that much damn money. They call themselves high value men. They make the same amount as I make. Bitch, we regular. We regular. I'm sorry. And if you make six figures, depending on where you at the six figures, baby, you just a regular person out here living. Trust me. Trust me. Martell is broke. He don't even make as much money as Melody. So the fact that you out here preaching to your homeboys Or these men in the manosphere telling them, oh, get a vasectomy. They trying to get your millions. Baby, you ain't got no millions. You ain't got it. You ain't got it. We're talking about imaginary millions here, baby. If you had it like that, why you telling everybody else to get a vasectomy because he said he got a vasectomy? Baby, if you had it like that, you could still be able to afford you a penthouse apartment. Or just any apartment for that matter. It ain't even got to be a penthouse apartment. So I don't know, child. Anyway, so that was the Boonchie Cat blues that Ralph was giving out to the rest of his homeboys. He was telling them, hey, if you got to get a reverse vasectomy, that's what he was saying. A vasectomy costs $10,000. He said, get a vasectomy first. When you want to have a baby or do your thing, get a reverse vasectomy, have a baby or two, and then get a vasectomy again. I said, damn, y'all cutting on y'all zick like that? I guess. Anyway, fuck Ralph. Fuck Ralph. The podcast is a failure. It gets an F on my test or whatever. He don't have that many subscribers, not getting that many views. When you do wrong, you see how you did your wife dirty. You tried to outshine her when she had her album and shit. And that look. Exactly. But speaking of Drew, let's talk about the Housewives. Why was Shamia shading Drew like that? This is the first thing on my list to talk about. Why was Shamia giving Drew unsolicited shade? And why is it that we always talking about all of the shade that the other girlies throw? Y'all nailing Brit to the wall because she was acting a damn fool. Y'all are nailing Portia to the wall for talking about Charles Oakley, for just saying, I know who your husband is, with a little bit of playful shade. Why are we not holding Shamia to those same? Why they not nailing Shamia to the same wall for shading Drew when Drew went to the studio with her? And they posted a reel together, Shamia, Angela, and Drew. I posted it on my Instagram story where they out having fun and stuff. And I said, was this before or after the shade? Was you frolicking out of the studio with Drew before or after you shaded her? Because not only did she shade her and say, Shamia can't hit no high notes like this in her confessionals. When they first got to the studio and Shamia was there with RL from Next, he is so fine. I used to love, give me that kind of love, baby. I used to love them. Anyway, she gonna tell Shamia, she said, when her and RL was at the studio at the beginning of the episode, she was like, yeah, Shamia, you need to get you a RL. You need to get you a RL. No, Drew don't need to get no RL. She got her a dentist, and that's why her album is banging. So while you trying to compare yourself to Drew, because it's two girlies on the show doing music, so I guess you feel like it's only one girlie could get the music spot, or only one girlie gonna perform on a reunion. At this point, Drew got it for me. Drew got it for me. She really do, because Good Girl Gone Bad is ingrained in my thoughts, and I got 5 on me. So, Shamia, I told y'all Shamia is just like Portia. Shamia is just like Portia. There's no secret to why they've been friends since they were in childhood. They are both mean girlies. If Portia a mean girl, Shamia is too. Exactly. I'm sorry. Portia's just more bubbly and funny. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to compare the two, but since Shamia comparing the music between her and Drew, let's compare the YouTubes. Portia YouTube is way more entertaining than Shamia's. I watch both of them. And Shamia gives a little bit more forced ha-ha, and Portia's gives just more naturally funny. Now, Kenya coming down to YouTube today. That's what she said. Today, Tuesday. Are y'all gonna tune in to what Kenya said? Y'all know I'm gonna be listening. So I'm gonna come back and tell y'all what Kenya had to say. If Kenya come down here with some bullshit, Team Twirl, I'm dragging y'all by y'all natural tresses. I'm assuming all the Team Twirl girls ain't wearing lace fronts. Y'all got that natural 22-inch from Kenya. But if Kenya come down here on that bullshit tonight, I'm dragging her. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm telling y'all, Shamia might be an undercover mean girl. Shamina. Ain't that what Angela called her? Shamina. Shamina creeping out. Exactly. Let's talk about the peace brunch. First of all, I love Kelly. I love that Kelly shaded the dog shit out of Portia. Portia called Tyler up. I'm sick. Portia, was you sick, girl? Or you just didn't want to deal with that drama or deal with the girlies? I don't know. But Kelly was on the phone like, okay, girl, take everything. Take some medicine. Take everything, girl. Just don't take nobody else's husband. Kelly is a good time. Kelly is a good time and she's funny. But notice when Kelly, when they was talking at the beginning about, you know, Kenya, about how Kenya acted or whatever, Portia was like, yeah, Kenya, she did that. She twirled on down the hill talking about Kenya posting the Brit Eady shit. Portia was like, yeah, Kenya then twirled on down the hill. Kelly chimed in and said, and she's still there. Talking about Kenya still there in hell, child. So it's giving, Kelly, was you trying to get Kenya, was you the one trying to get Kenya kicked off the show? Because you one of the current housewives. Portia said that one of the current housewives kept trying to get Kenya kicked off the show. Kelly, was that you? Because you was the one who really got pissed off and walked off as soon as Kenya started showing them poster boards. We don't know if it's Drew, Angela, or Kelly. I really think it's Drew, though, because the way this dinner was set up, Brit twirled in, everybody was there. Drew was, so as soon as Kelly told her that the other girlies reached out to Kenya to see if she was okay and to see how she felt, Brit immediately got pissed off. She immediately got pissed off. And Drew was like, yeah, we went to go check on her because there's two sides to the story. You need to admit your wrongdoings, yada, yada, yada. Drew's whole demeanor in this was giving, I'm Team Kenya. Angela's demeanor was giving Team Kenya too. And she asked, they started getting into it because Shamia brung up, yeah, she said that she lost her insurance license. Angela was like, what basis did they have for that? Because Angela has her insurance license. And she know that you can't lose your license on that bullshit. Now, Angela did clock this bitch. And Brit just clicked out. Brit was like, have you been paying attention? What did she say? She said, have you been paying attention? So and so and so and so. First of all, bitch, who is you talking to? She was like, read the room. Read the room. Bitch, read these nuts into your mouth. Angela, you a good one, because I would have snatched the lips up off Brit. I'm sorry, bitch. Now who you talking to? Girl, Brit was out of line and out of control. But I love the fact that Angela was like, no, we need to talk about how we even got here. So Brit, I was trying to defend Brit, but bitch, let's be clear. Let's be crystal clear, bitch. That we would not even be here if you wouldn't have brung up the blicky. Pinch nose princess. Get a clue, ho. Like, literally get a clue. It's crazy how I have to flip-flop on your dog ass. But Kenya was dead wrong. But the fact that you acting like you don't have contributory negligence, like, bitch, you contributed to this problem. Let's not act like she just acted like that out the clear blue sky, bitch. You know what you did. You poked the bear. She acted a fool. Kenya is suffering her consequences. And you sitting here acting like innocent Annie. No, ho, that's not how it worked. Remember Blicky Brick? I fuck a nigga up. I blow this thing up. Girl, shut the fuck up. Girl, and you know I could tell by them earlier episodes, your husband sick of you, Nico sick of you, and your mama low-key sick of you too. Your mama know you better than all of us know you. And your mama face was giving her, this bitch. I'm sure if her mama could say, this bitch, she would. Girl, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, so she talking about how she lost her insurance license and then she scaled it back after the girls, you know, broke themselves apart. She's getting investigated. I'm assuming she's not getting investigated for giving some sloppy toppy while she was underage, which a lot of people was talking about that. I ain't even finna get on there because a lot of y'all done had kids at 15, 16, and 17. So let's not act like it's a big deal because this girl was giving some sloppy toppy as a teenager. Because some of y'all got kids and multiple kids as teenagers. So sweep around your own house, bitch. Anyway, Angela kept clocking her, saying you failed to take responsibility. They asked her again about the insurance stuff. I think she's under investigation because Kenya called her an insurance fraud hoe. And if y'all watch Justin J and Jesse Wu, shout out to Justin J and Jesse Wu. When I first told y'all that tea about the Ming Lee stuff, I think I did it on one of those lives that I deleted. But I told y'all Justin J is one of like the YouTube goats. He was back on YouTube like when I started watching Funky Dineva, Spill It Boy, James Caldwell, all of the guys, the Black V-neck roast. So shout out to Justin J and Jesse Wu. They actually did another live yesterday. They've been spilling all the Atlanta tea stuff. They've been spilling all the Atlanta tea stuff. And tell me why Jesse Wu said yesterday. Was he yesterday or the other day? Jesse Wu, when they was talking about how Brit may have been targeted by the Kenya and the Ming Lee stuff, because you know how they keep talking about how Ming Lee came and said that she didn't give Kenya that tea. Kenya got that tea from the internet. And Jesse and a few other people, y'all commented and was like, no, because Brit's pictures aren't on the regular internet. So they didn't get it from the internet. And Ming Lee said that, hey, I got all of her pictures talking about Brit shit in her telephone and stuff. Well, when Jesse Wu and Justin was talking about the show and stuff, she alluded, but she was basically saying like, hey, if you know these girls, then you know how these girls get down. So is Ming Lee a part of the Mean Girl clique? I told you her salon is called Snob Life. And the bitches that I met in there were some snobs. I told you I was getting ready to drag one of her stylists. I don't know, child. But we know, I keep telling y'all how clicked up the Atlanta girlies are. So I don't put nothing past them. Just the other day, they was at Lena's baby shower. It was Shamia, Portia, Candy, Ming Lee, Yandy. I told y'all Yandy was dying to be in that clique. I did not tell y'all when I was talking about the Yandy and Rashida stuff, how Yandy was dying to be in that clique of girlies. It was Lena's baby shower. Portia was there. Shamia was there. I heard Portia and Shamia didn't say a word to each other. And guess what? They got pictures all over the internet, but it ain't nan picture with Portia and Shamia together. So they really not fucking with each other like that in real time, true life. Anyway, so it was Portia, Shamia, Candy, Ming Lee was there, Yandy was there. I think I saw Quad too. I think Quad popped up too. Anyway, girl. So I think the Brit Eady stuff, I think even if she's investigated, why she would be investigated is because Kenya was talking about insurance fraud hoe. And in some of the old pictures, they showed it on the Justin J showed the old picture of Kempire where it was like a video where it's like pamphlets that showed insurance fraud hoe where they was talking about Ming Lee. So I'm not sure if that's true, but that may be the reason why Brit Eady is getting, investigated, you know what I'm saying, for the insurance stuff. And speaking of insurance stuff, let's talk about Claudia and Carlos. Last night, Claudia gave Ming Lee the blues. Not Ming Lee, but Brit Eady the blues. Mind you, I like Claudia. I always been a fan of Claudia. But this was given very much invested, very much Kenya's mouthpiece, very much clowning Brit because you don't like that she got into it with Kenya, or is it because you want to be back on the Housewives? Which I like to see Claudia back on Housewives. Y'all know she was a one-hit wonder and she was only on there once. Anyway, so basically she said that she went on Brit Eady's, or somebody went on there, on her LinkedIn, and it has all state insurance or something, and it was back from 2023, and she didn't take it off. I'm not sure if the point of her story was trying to say that Brit Eady was an insurance agent and got fired in 2023, and now she's trying to use the Kenya situation to act like, you know what I'm saying, that's why her insurance career is going down the drain. I don't know, but she said that Brit brings ghetto mess. She's declassing the show. A lot of y'all have said that she, belongs on Love and Hip Hop and shit. Brit do got a badass attitude. If I was Angela, I would have snatched that bitch across the table. But Claudia was going in on her. It was kind of overkill for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was overkill. It was overkill. That's all I'm gonna say. Brit is a hot, stinking, trifling, knockoff Nicki Minaj, bad attitude having ass bitch. But that still don't negate the fact that Kenya got tricked out of her spot and she lost. She lost and she gone. And I don't know what she gonna tell us today on her little podcast to make us change our minds. And Claudia is giving a chihuahua fighting for a pit bull. You know how them chihuahuas gnaw at your ankles and shit? Like going at Brit Eady like that. I wonder if Brit Eady gonna say something back to Claudia. I wonder if she gonna shade Claudia back. I don't know, child. A lot of people was like, Claudia, girl, how you going in on Brit and we ain't like you when you first joined the show. We ain't like you when you first joined the show. Because let's not act like when Claudia first came on, she was getting into it with Portia and Nene. You was the newbie that was going against the big dogs too. Except you were unsuccessful and you were canceled after your first season. And Kenya didn't help you save your job. I'm sorry, when Claudia got canceled, I didn't hear Kenya down on the internet streets fighting for you, Claudia. Exactly. I don't know. Anyway, we get a sneak peek. So, like I said, we just got a sneak peek of the new episode that's coming up. Brit is talking about how her and Kelly met Angela and Neiman Marcus. And Brit says, Brit says, yeah, Angela, and you acted like you were hiding behind the clothes and stuff. And she said when she saw her, she gave her a hug and shit. And she was like, well, was the hug real? So everybody was clowning Brit like, oh, girl, you tripping. You always, you insecure, you self-conscious, da-da-da-da. So even though Brit get on my motherfucking nerves, I don't like when fans find one of their favorites and then forget what happened. Did we just forget that Angela told Brit, I got your back in this situation, then skipped over to Kenya, told Kenya that she had her back in the situation, and then at the dinner party, they just got into it. Now, that was Brit's fault, but they just got into it. So after all of that happened, if I see Angela and then you hug me in the store, yes, bitch, I want to know if you fake or not. I definitely want to know if you fake or not. Because, bitch, you just said you had my back, then you skipped over to Kenya and said you got her back 100%, and then we ended up getting into it. So why wouldn't Brit give her that energy? Of course I'm going to ask you, bitch, is you being fake? Or do you want me to let everybody know that you was just hugging me in the store because on screen you telling Kenya that you got her back, and on screen you acting like you got Kenya back, but when I see you at Neiman Marcus, bitch, you hugging me and it's all good. So yes, I'm sorry. Angela is giving a flip-flopper. I don't know. Anyway, child, tell me what y'all think about the whole loving, Real Housewives of Atlanta shit. It's a lot of tea going on, but I don't really think the season is giving like that. I'm sick of the Kenya and Brit situation. We done, it's over with. Kenya gone. Now what's next? Now what's new? What is next and what's new? We done with Drew and Portia in that situation. The album came out great. Simon in jail. We done with that. What else do we have? We need Phaedra back fast and in a hurry, child. Please bring Phaedra and the drama in the shade, please. Because I don't know. What Portia did say, though. Portia did say that Brit and Angela, she said that's going to blow up. She said they're going to get into it. So I guess it's going to be Brit versus Angela for a while this season. I don't know, child. If y'all had to keep one, is it going to be Angela or is it going to be Brit? I don't know. So tell me what y'all think about this episode. How would y'all rate this episode? Are y'all still really feeling this season? I just feel like we need more. I really feel like we need more. Are y'all gonna watch Kenya more? Do y'all want to see Miss Netta? Do y'all want to see Miss Netta Thompson? Charles, not Charles Oakley. Charles. What if they had a Miss Netta on Real Housewives? Could you imagine Portia? Could you imagine the way Portia and them would be looking at Miss Netta? Like, who invited this bitch to brunch? Anyway, child, I thought that was funny. Tell me what y'all think about Ralph and his misogynistic ways, child. Are y'all Delilahs out here trying to get these men for their invisible millions that they don't have, that ain't in their bank account? They ain't even got a thought on how they gonna get it. I guess, child. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you comment and like this video. I'll talk to you later, friend. Bye.